Hello and welcome to this episode of UX Conversations. In this series, we're joined by inspiring UX leaders who share their insights, expertise, and experiences. Together, we talk about the career paths, explore the perspectives on the design industry, and delve into the developments shaping the UX field. My name is Akar Rudolph. I'm director of the UX Design Awards and head of strategy at International Design Center Berlin. And I hope that today's talk leaves you feeling inspired and provides valuable insights that you can apply to your own work and career journey. In this episode, I'll be speaking with Aditi Sharma. She is head of design and research at Amazon Web Services and is coming on board for the UX Design Awards jury. And before we dive in, a quick note: if you're crafting outstanding product experiences, then don't miss the chance to have your work reviewed and recognized by Aditi and our esteemed jury panel. The submissions are open until the 15th of May, so be sure to check our website for more. With that said, let me extend a heartfelt welcome to Aditi. It's truly wonderful to have you here. How are you?
I'm good, Ake. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me to start my day like this and to talk about the work and the wonderful contributions that you and your team are making with UX Awards and IDC. It's truly an honor. So excited to be here and excited to share my story.
It's great to having you. And Aditi, you're looking back at an quite impressive career. You've worked in the consultancy field on B2B and B2C projects for clients across multiple industries and fields. And you also have been a lecturer in UX design at Pratt Institute in New York. And there you curated one of the top 10 design programs in the States while building up a global design team at JP Morgan at the same time. So quite impressive there. And in 2022, I guess, you joined Amazon Web Services as head of research and design. So can you tell us a little bit how you got there and what exactly do you do now at Amazon?
Yeah, so I'll start from where it all began for me in India. I got exposure to creative ways to solve for very tricky problems. That was my parents, and both of them social workers, economists. I saw them go do their day job, then take care of these three girls, and then go do social work. And during that process, I would do these posters for them, and they would be so proud of them that they would put up the posters on our two-bedroom house walls, and that to me was a moment, or many moments rather, that built up this idea that I need to push for looking towards problems in a more creative, innovative way. And to me, design became that medium. So I got accepted into a premier design school in India, NIFT, and there I pursued product design. From there, I was offered my first job as a product designer. So that was fantastic. I was working with the Commonwealth Games, and during that time, I got to design a ton of street signages, urban infrastructure related projects that also included, just other sort of symbols and signs that the city needed to organize these events. Even though the event in itself wasn't that successful, but the exposure that I got to the work that I was asked to do got me interested in human centered design and inclusivity, and what role does sort of industrial design play in all of this. So I pursued a program at Loughborough Design School. I got accepted, got a scholarship. That was really the only school that I could afford. But it turned out to be fantastic. The faculty, the exposure I got, again, to rapid prototyping, to these techniques which talked about service design in a different way, where we were encouraged to think about backstage and front stage processes. And to me that exposure during that time to get my college fees out, I started to do some part-time work in India, and during that time my projects grew to a place where I could sustain myself. I started bringing in other people to help me out on projects, and that started my little design agency that I went back to India and um, fully invest myself in. I worked with the government of India, again very inspired by social enterprise in a way. And during that time I worked on 2G applications to help the rural population connect directly with the central government and share their feedback on policies. So little projects like that got me exposure to more projects that were at the rural level or at a level where I could work with artisans directly and help them take their products to market. During that time, I also understood that I still needed to learn more about what was happening in the technology space. So I was then attracted to some of the programs at Stanford and MIT and Pratt, and that got me here. And then started my journey in design agencies. Career wise, it was a huge change for me to leave behind what I had started and to venture into something different with a new country. So um, as an immigrant, my journey here in the States was to prove myself all over again, to say, you know what, like I know design, I've been doing design for a decade. But it all started from the very beginning with design agencies. I was a one man army. I would do everything from research to selling it to the clients to actually getting the work out to production, working with engineers, making sure that the adoption was being tracked. I would handle like 10 projects at a time. So I go back to
Wow.
those
Mm.
days when I was extremely passionate about the craft of design itself, and I had a really tough boss. She would make sure that every little detail that I had in my designs was perfection. So I learned a lot. Even though she was tough, I learned a lot under her. And from there, I got into consulting, and consulting took me to clients like Walmart, DuPont, Target. And with them, I could understand that how does design work at a corporate level at this scale, and how can you change how people think about design. So I would be exposed to these clients, the only designer, and then I had the opportunity to set up a design team from scratch. So I learned how to set up teams in a corporate environment. Even though I had done that as an entrepreneur, I started as a team of one and grew it to a team of 20 plus as an entrepreneur. That was a completely different journey as compared to some being involved in this corporate environment, where I learned that data and using data to tell your stories is so vital to set up that value prop for design. So from consulting, I transitioned into finance because for me, solving complex problems and looking at the productivity metrics for an organization for improving an enterprise from within is a very exciting opportunity. So JP Morgan offered me that, and I worked on payments operations specifically. Started a small team,
Mhm.
was able to quadruple it within a year. And during that time, I was exposed to this opportunity in London, and I moved to London, where I set up more connections and more partnerships across the payment space. And at the time, it was so complex. We used to manage systems that would, move transactions of over $1 trillion every day. So looking at that scale and looking at the complexity that came with that was again very interesting. And growing a team that was well prepared. I know a lot of design teams focus on consumer facing products, and for us, consumers became our internal teams. And how do we make them more effective with what they do, higher velocity decisions, higher quality decisions? And that knowledge was the gateway for me to get into Amazon. So I was reached out when I was in London. I wasn't really actively looking for a job. I was extremely happy with JP Morgan, but they gave me an offer that I couldn't refuse because they wanted me to come in, centralize their team. And it was, again, to set up a design identity for fintech within AWS, and now I'm doing it across Amazon. So that opportunity again has unfolded in so many ways where I had to learn the hard way to do data driven storytelling, and then to drive results from that, and then to establish some frameworks and mechanisms that can help us sustain, grow. That theory of sharing your Legos, I do that every day here, and that's been exciting. So that's been my journey. That's how I got here, and there's a lot of exciting stuff that I'm doing at Amazon today, which I am looking forward to talking about.
Well, an impressive journey, especially an impressive learning curve, I guess. Pretty steep one. It sounds like it. I'm pretty interested, and because you mentioned, of course, you started working in India, both as an entrepreneur and with government contracts, then went to the States, then to the UK, and back to the States. So culturally, that's pretty different environments, and so what did you struggle about, or what did you find different from judging, from going working in design in India to the design approach in the States to the one in the UK?
That's such a great question. No one's ever asked me that question. So first, thank you for asking me that question.
Yes, of
Um,
course, we shouldn't jump too much into cultural, generalisms, but I guess that's completely different ways of working and ways of communicating as well, and communication is so key, in design as well, and in business above all.
Absolutely. And I have just nothing been but this open vessel. I remind myself when I go into meetings that I need to constantly give back, because that's the one
Hmm.
theme that I can connect across these multiple environments. That there are good leaders, in fact, great leaders, who are out there who will inspire you, who will guide you, who will coach you, and who will give you really tough feedback. So you really need to toughen up, and you need to take feedback, which may come in any shape or form, and use that force, almost that brute force, to shape yourself. The competition is just you. And how do you use these environments to drive the change that you've been striving for unknowingly? So I have examples specifically for, when I was back in India, the focus was a lot on 3D and tactical design. I remember
Hmm.
doing milling and doing my own welding. I became, in fact, a certified welder. I used to, I lived in a factory for almost 6 months of my life as an intern, because I wanted to learn how glass blowing happens, how welding happens, how cutting and milling and lathe, all of these operations happen. So I think there's a lot more exposure to more of the traditional technologies that have been here, that have been driving the craft per se. And the way that you communicate is a lot through what you produce. We
Hmm.
don't have so many docs, and we don't have so many technical mechanisms, but the focus in India is a lot on practical design, where I can bring something 3D, something, even a prototype to you, and get your feedback in it. So I definitely see there's a lot more fluidity in how design is being handled. But
So
the core
getting
of
things
that,
done, it's more like a craft approach, and
yeah,
throwing yourself into it.
absolutely. And the thing that a lot of times, I actually just set up a design studio in India, so I see that stark comparison within my design team even today, how they operate in India versus how my team is operating in the States. It's completely different. It's also that sense of creative confidence. So if I may, like,
Uh-huh.
my biggest exposure then in the States and in UK was that sense of creative confidence that these designers may have. I definitely see a lot more of this imposter syndrome in folks who come from my country, because maybe we've not had the same kind of exposures. It's changing. India has always been seen as a market for engineers, but is it
Mhm.
considered a market for design? That's still a question mark. So I hope with things that my own peers are doing and leaders are doing, who come from these different cultures, the more we come together as a group, the more we can learn from each other. So what I've learned in the States is that immaculate storytelling. I see that a lot. Like I saw that through my consulting days, through my days working in agencies, through my days working now at Amazon. Words and the way that you write them, they hold a ton of weight. It's definitely more formal. And I
Mhm.
do see that the culture also focuses a lot on presentation. So if you can't really present your ideas or thoughts, uh, yes, I can look at your pretty picture, but the way that you've explained your idea or your vision to me, that matters. So I see that change for sure. But a lot that we need to do as a community to come
Mhm.
together and continue to exchange things that we are good at, or we see someone else is good at, and that's how we grow together.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, bigger companies and bigger corporations are much more formal, much more numbers driven, and maybe more urgent in terms of short times, convince me fast, etc., which is also a very, in a way, also maybe American trait. I'm wondering when you joined AWS at the first time, what was the setting there? What did the landscape look like in terms of design? Let's say preparedness, because I would say like AWS is more like a technologically driven company, business driven company, not so much design oriented, maybe. So, what did you find there when you joined?
Um, It was almost 3 years ago now. And when I joined, it was a decentralized team. One a group of designers worked under a product leader. This other group of designers was under an engineering leader. The domains, even though connected, they served different customer bases. So uh, uh, there was this shared sense of, hey, yes, you work for the same org, but my customer base is a little different. So the need to
Hmm.
centralize hadn't been established yet. So there was still this siloed way of working even within the design team, where there was no shared design system or patterns, or hey, I'm working on this, what are you working on? That's that very fluid way to communicate. That wasn't really happening. So that was one, just in terms of decentralization and how the team was set up. Then the role of UX itself, as we've all seen that design maturity scale. So UI versus UX, that question is real. So
Hmm.
how people were perceiving design or perceiving the value that we could bring to the table, and to no fault of just the partners. I think we as a community, we also have to develop our domain knowledge to get a seat at the table, to make ideas come to life. Like that's, yes, one skill, but how do you start with the idea itself? So that perception of design being production partners, where they come in, they are a part of that process, they are in the middle. I have some requirements, they come, they make some pretty pictures from this Excel, UI that I've done, and then I get it out there and it's out in production. So that was really how we were set up. And then the overall, if we look at this vision that brings the connection between business outcomes, customer outcomes, operational and employee outcomes, that vision wasn't really crystallized. It was there, it was present in bits and pieces, but how did design fit into that vision? So that idea of data driven storytelling where visuals are a medium, but data itself on the impact that you are creating through UX was missing as well. So, hence, the other two factors where, yes, you can see that decentralization has this impact where we don't find enough power as a group to stand together and to, pull ourselves out from this rut where UX is just considered as a production or a UI partner. So that's
Yeah,
how
yeah,
it
yeah,
looked
yeah.
like
Mhm.
when I started. And I wouldn't say that, hey, I'm there and it 100% looks ideal. I would say that from that day I have some proven impact. From that day my team has grown 5x. From that day I have now three different design studios. I have three leaders who are running the space. It's just not me advocating for design anymore. From all of that change also came mechanisms and centralization of the team, coming together on common patterns and saying that we have a design system. How do we scale it to become a system of systems? Where we are partnering with our AWS, design system owners and driving that work forward. What we got to see with a product like Uno, which we were very fortunate to receive a UX award for by IDC. So um, I think that's been the transition for us. It's been a steady transition where, of course, not everyone believes in the vision. So it's about how do you find the right people who are ready to put in that sweat and blood to start from the very scratch and to create something that they're proud of. So that journey of, an idea of saying, hey, we are a community, we do design this way. Our tenets are we are fearless scientists, we experiment, we research, we are customer obsessed, we invent and simplify. Those leadership principles that are core to Amazon, making them core to us, and really sharing that mantra that I have for design and making that everyone's mantra. And, then these guys coming up with their own mantras and going out there and spreading that value of design. So that's been the change. We have now become strategic partners. One of the testaments of that is that we were involved in writing the 3-year vision document for the org. And that in itself, when you move design from just being a production
Mhm.
partner to be becoming the leaders who are writing where the vision needs to go, of course, we partnered with our product and peers to say, okay, what is that vision going to be? But ultimately owning that and driving that with our leaders was a fantastic opportunity. So it's been that big change, centralization, connectedness, and driving common patterns that can create that lasting change.
So I think you've mentioned something very, very important in a large organization, and something that many designers and design teams struggle with, that they are placed in the, as you said, in the production execution level, and never come up to the more like business informing element, to the management element level. And this is something that maybe has to do with what you learn as a designer, but also, as you said, this so an ever ongoing discussion about earning a seat at the table, but you have to actually earn it and then own it. So what did you do? Was there anything that you can say that drove a wedge into this and helped you to get there? Because now you've described this whole trajectory with a growing team and informing the vision of the division, but it had to start somewhere, and you started from a non-existing team and people being scattered on an operational production level. So how what was the steps that you used to start to maybe organize this a little bit and structure this, and most importantly get noticed?
Yeah. Um, Thank you for doubling down on that aspect of earning trust and then learning how to keep it. That's one area that I'm still learning a lot in, and I'm still growing in. And that's what I tried to do when I joined Amazon. I know it's very obvious that when you join, you want to go and talk to people. But I did that on an accelerated schedule.
Mhm.
Put a high target for me that, hey, within a week, let's see how many people can you meet, and then as quick as it is, like within 15 minutes, I had very directed questions just around the business landscape, biggest problems, challenges they want to solve, and
Mhm.
what UX meant to them. What did they want from us? So not
That's in a
necessarily.
way mapping, right? Researching the business
Absolutely.
environment that you're in.
Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
Like, and also figuring out what are the top metrics that my business wants to drive. Uh,
Mhm.
of course, revenue comes to mind, but the biggest one for me was how do I lower cost to serve my customers? So, all of my efforts had to be towards making my teams more productive. That meant not just my team, but beyond my org as well, setting up those mechanisms. So, the first thing was to do understand the landscape as is. I had the opportunity to actually sit down with the person who started the org, and present to him this vision of, okay, like this is what we've learned. These are some quick wins that we can have, and this is an idea called Uno. What
Mhm.
do you think? So I think that in itself, where it was a little courageous, where I just took this risk, where I showed him something that was not even close, but showing him something and saying that, hey, today there are 20 plus tools that our customers need to go to. How do I bring insights together? How do we drive them towards more meaningful actions for the business? And that aspect where, hey, it's about how do we make you successful? That change in somebody coming in and asking him and building him up, I think, or by him I mean his org, I think was a great way to start. The other piece that I did, this was my boss's challenge to me, is we have this yearly mechanism. It's called operational planning, where every org gets to present their budget and they say, hey, this is how I've been using your budget over the last year, and this is the budget I need for the next year to do X, Y, and Z. So that requires a ton of analysis, that requires looking at your roadmap, things that are upcoming, things that you've done in the past. And I had mine coming up in within 2 months of me joining. So I had this crazy task. I had to hire people, positions that were already out there but had never been hired. It's to set up that bar for the team and saying that every new hire I make will raise the bar on my team. So I was doing that in parallel while I was saying, okay, what has been done so far? And slowly I
Mhm.
started to bring these islands together through design studios, through weekly stand ups, where I dove deep into a couple of areas that were high priority, like planning and forecasting, reporting, headcount budgets, management, which are critical to the leaders for the AWS business. I looked at those products mainly and understood, okay, these are the patterns that we are looking at. And these are the things that we need to do, or impact that we've had so far. So right off the bat, I knew that there were no mechanisms that were set up to even look at CSAT scores for our team. So setting up research mechanisms to say, and I call them like listening mechanisms, things like digital shadowing, things like surveys that would help me look at a CSAT score or a customer effort score, system usability scale. So setting up those mechanisms first, I did that in parallel while I wrote a doc and created a roadmap with t-shirt sizing for more than 300 entries. And I was writing a 6 pager doc in parallel. All this had to come together within a week because I was onboarding, I was bringing everything together. So, writing that 6 pager, bringing that roadmap in, I could say line by line that, hey, with these X number of designers, my capacity stops at this line. If you want more work, because by the way, we just don't do UI, we also do UX, which is the end to end from exploration, experimentation to evaluation. It's that loop. That's what we do. And this is what my one cycle looks like. this is what you get from a t-shirt size of small, from a large t-shirt size you get an entire full on design process. So really establishing that process and breaking it down, making it data driven by hours, and saying I can capture so many features design through research, through evaluation, um, line by line. So I did that, and I could
Hmm.
say this is where my headcount stops, and I'm looking for more headcount. I remember when I presented this is my first doc at Amazon, a 6 pager with like a 10 pager appendix with tables and tables and details and impact data. And I present this, and I'm no good at Excel, by the way. So I was learning Excel also in parallel. And I present it, and here are like more than 50 people in the room because this is the first time UX is ever presenting a doc. So everyone's there, and I'm nervous and I'm blabbering, but I'm presenting, and we get the message across. I got a lot of pushback that, oh, a designer should be involved directly with the engineer at a product level. Why are you talking about design pods and a team structure? Why you think so? I had to then go back to data points and say that, hey, we can look at a common pattern, and I can solve for problems on 5 products with the same pattern. So bringing back those specific examples and setting up programs from scratch, that were my first 3 months. And post that OP, I got more headcount. Even though it was an Amazon hiring freeze, we were able to prove the value of UX. And thanks to the support of my leadership, truly, they were able to quickly learn with me. They were open to learn. And
Hmm.
through
Hmm.
this moment of a constant pushback, and I kept getting pushback, it wasn't all rainbows and roses. But I think through that process, it honed me as a leader to be more data driven, because I have the responsibility of my team. So as much as I want to protect them, I need to push them to become the best versions. So I today I think at the Amazon level, okay, I'm really proud because we now are constantly featured in articles. Through the work that
Uh-huh.
the team has been doing, and it's been
Hmm.
a huge change. So I think that's how I was able to get noticed, and bring more attention towards why design was important.
But I think that sounds very crucially that you understood the culture and the values of the organization you were working with, that with them numbers count, facts count, and you really did this, excuse me, a kind of field research, then mapping of abilities, mapping of time and people that were available, what was lacking. So it means having quite a thorough understanding of what roles, abilities they are, what is needed, the ability to break them down into numbers, and combining this both with a long-term vision, but also with the steps to get there based on capabilities, based on people, based on what is lacking, and then also presenting the wins there step by step. Did I get this right?
Absolutely. You summarized it beautifully. So I just call it listening, linking, and learning. Listen
Mm-hmm.
constantly and use methods that help you listen better, where you can record what you're listening. And then you link, you create artifacts like journey maps or service blueprints that are easy to digest. We tend to get really detailed with those. So you link those dots, you start to talk about journeys in a different way, not just customers and how they spend time on a platform, but looking beyond that. What's
Mm-hmm.
important to the business, what's important operationally, and how do those factors also play out in the customer's journey. So that linking becomes so critical. And then, of course, learning. And how do you learn? You learn by doing, you experiment, you get stuff out there, you prototype rapidly. Thanks to my industrial design days, I did that a lot. And that's one practice that I push my team to do a lot, like fail fast, show me things. And of course, when they show it to me, they're always nervous because they're saying, I know that you're looking for perfection, but yes, like you never get perfect, you only get close to what it can be through iteration. So that constant learning is so important. So we've been able to set up telemetry tools now where we did have those.
Hmm.
Like you would be amazed. Of course, we have them on our external facing websites, but internal to Amazon, those websites don't have usage analytics. So I was able to push that with the team, working with the principal engineer on our org and saying, okay, this is something that we can use at scale throughout our products. So that constant learning has improved the way that we work tremendously, where we can go back. We were able to improve the score of a legacy platform which has been out there by tremendous amounts because had tools like telemetry guiding us, telling us where users were abandoning the journey. So, yes, I would say listen, link, and constantly learn. If you are doing those three things regularly and in a good balance across your portfolio, you'll get it.
That sounds like your definition of a UX playbook for navigating in large enterprises. I love this. Listen, link, and learn. Is there something that really helped you? You feel beyond, you say, this ability to craft, to jump into prototyping, of course, to research, to combine, but something beyond design that you feel is really valuable for anybody who rises through the ranks and starts to lead in design that goes beyond design.
I'll say something that may sound a little crude to the generation of today, the new generation of designers who are coming in. There is no substitute for hard work. And by hard work, the only thing that I'll change is if you'll do smart work with hard work, where you have certain mechanisms that you've set, and being okay to revisit them. It's okay. You can change them, and you can continuously learn and improve. But I think the reason why I could survive some of the hardest jobs in my life is because I didn't give up. That passion helped me persist. So that keep that passion alive. Like know that what you do is important. Um, I feel like an imposter when I meet people who are just tremendously great at what they do. Whether it's in design, whether I meet people like you who are just doing such majestic things for our industry overall. So it's just about going that extra mile. It's
Hmm.
okay, like
Hmm.
especially when you can, right? Like your priorities will change in life. Like for me now, I need to balance being a new mom, and to do this while I'm so passionate about this. So your priorities will change, but as long your passion is there, continue to work hard, keep learning. That has kept me going, and I hope I can continue to do that. The moment you stop learning and stop pushing yourself, I think that's real death, and don't want to be there. I want to continue growing and pushing and challenging myself and get myself into situations that I've never been in before. But that's how you learn. So yeah, like I told you, 10 projects at a time, full blown projects. I have been in those days, and they have taught me the most.
Hmm. Hmm. And so when you're looking at where development, what the developments are in the industry, and thinking about where UX or UX design is heading, is do you have like an idea or a direction, a hint, or maybe even like a hope, what the role of UX design can be in the future? What do you think there, or should be
Yeah.
maybe?
It should be. Yes, it should be. For I think if we look at just that very common iceberg example that we have for UX, like a lot of people, I saw this image on LinkedIn again, where somebody had said that hey, the top part or the entire part will be done by UX, or just the top part will be done by Gen AI, which is the part that's peeping outside of the water. And when you look at an imagery like that, like just the misinformation that's out
Mhm.
there, um, that is very concerning to me, especially when a lot of the future generation of designers is using social media as a platform to learn a lot of times. And I think there is value to going back to traditional methods of learning, going back to the masters of design like the Dieter Rams of the world, who have changed how we perceive design. So,
And
as
particularly
Steve.
also reading about why, which idea, and what was, but also, of course, in their context. So, what was the situation back then, and why did they react in what way? What did they want to achieve, right?
Absolutely. And exactly to what you're saying, if we look back into the past, there's always patterns that will reveal themselves. So, like during the second industrial revolution, we saw the rise of, Taylorism, and Disney came up. And so, 1940s is where we start seeing this change towards more empathetic way of creating tools or to creating environments that's they are more human centered. Then we saw the rise of in around 1950s and 1960s, Peter Rams, and the rise of the first AI, which was developed at MIT called Eliza. So, like, change has been there. It's not a new concept to us as a society. So, as we think about our role as designers, the basics will always remain the same. They are not going to change. The thing that will change is how we work. What our job was, or what was meant to be for this role, which was, hey, improve the design experience, or improve the overall product experience for this user. That was our remit. That hasn't changed. Now, the job I do can become faster, more efficient. The time I spent on experimentation, on exploration, on going deeper into the problem space, in understanding workflows and how are people going from one tool to the other, what are some of the unsaid opportunities, even if no tool exists, what are they doing today, what's the simplest solution to solve a problem. Like, those are areas where we can push ourselves. I do think that, I think you and I talked about this a little bit in the past, where uh, it's an epiphany, right? Like, the middle child is always considered to be the most troubling child, and we are in the middle. If you
Mhm.
look at the traditional processes, we have product, we have design, then we have engineering. So we need to do right by both. So if we don't pull everybody together on the same vision and reimagine workflows, going back to service design, understanding what these masters were saying when they were talking about front stage and backstage, that work needs to happen now. Now, think about AI as your assistant. Which work do you want AI to do for you? Whether it's research insights, not just Gen AI prototyping, but from the very beginning, if I do take you along to a user interview I'm doing, can you track notes for me while I'm there? Can you synthesize reports for me? Can you take out insights? Things that I can't do as fast, like velocity
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
level of experimentation will increase. And that's what I'm already seeing within my org to make it more practical for you all. Within AWS, I'm working with the design system team again to think about Gen AI prototyping. Yes, prompt based Gen AI prototyping. So, towards the end, like once I have these templates or the best methods of solving a problem identified, then yes, we take Gen AI and help us, or help our product managers or engineers quickly come up with what they are looking for. Then on the other side, we have research insights and repositories that we've created. I write a ton of docs, okay? Like, I'm writing a doc every 2 weeks. So I need quotes, I need insights, I need to tie it back to the customer and business and operational problems. So now I have this plethora of research that was done across these years. I've brought in journey maps. I've been able to bring all of this consolidated information for my teams, for my leaders. So now I can go into this research repository, look for me the information I need, or I can ask questions and understand where my current research gaps are and conduct more research. So it's been game changing for us in that way. So I don't think what we need to do has changed. How we do it has changed. So how we become more effective with what we do, how we become our right a lot, as we say at Amazon, faster. I think is the game to be played. But really interested to, of course, keep learning more. Really excited about what it's bringing. But we have known change. This is not new to us, and we should just embrace it as the masters did, and we should learn from that.
Yeah, and of course, AI, as you said, can only help us there. I mean, like tools like Notebook LLM can create a great repository of all your research work and can be then used to get facts in and help people along when they outline new projects. I'm wondering, is there something like what in your point of view the pitfalls there, especially for designers when you look at colleagues or maybe also people in your team, even yourself, what can go wrong? So what are are there in your point of view like classical mistakes designers tend to do when not adapting, when not really understanding how they can go beyond this kind of like production based focused task and go beyond it.
Yeah. The biggest pitfall is, of course, this over reliance on this technology, where we tend to sometimes lose ethics in the pursuit of efficiency. So
Mm-hmm.
really understanding as an org, what are some of your tenets, and then taking the time to fact check, is so important. And I'll give you an example. We reported on a number that we thought would be the potential savings that a feature would create, and it was around risk aversion. So we came up with a number, we proposed the number, um, and so then when the leadership saw the number, they're like, hey, how did you get the number? So
Mm-hmm.
my team said, yeah, like we went through the research, it gave us this number. And but you need that human expert in the middle. At least till we can feel that yes, our ethics, our tenets, our prioritization frameworks have been truly embedded in the tools, especially if you have younger designers who are just coming up in the field, who are excited about using this new technology. It's important creating, I wouldn't say bureaucratic gates, but more quality control gate checks, where you have in the process that become more fluid for the team. So I have like these, for the overall team, we organize ourselves in pods. So each pod at their level, they conduct a weekly pod studio, which means whatever I have, I just sort of put it up on the wall, which is a digital wall. I come in and I look at what you're doing. I ask questions and I go into the depth of the problem that you're solving. And we look at docs, we review docs. So that becomes one of our ways where we do those checks. And then at
Mm-hmm.
the overall studio level, like every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we get together, and we just look at the work that was presented, and we share comments. So those gate checks are important till we get to the point where we know that yes, it is ethical and it's accurate, and it can be believed. Until that point, we will need that expert in the middle. So I would just be wary of that. Make sure that you have people around you who can guide you towards the right outcomes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's great how you laid it out, how you create this, as you said in the beginning, the community of peer-to-peer learning, but also fact checking. Let's say fact checking or actually quality checking, as you said. But importantly, to have somebody who structures this and leads this, and also is able to ask maybe the difficult questions and question the status quo or the assumptions that are done. Not base your work on assumptions, as you said, but on facts and research them well. But also not just focus on numbers, but also lay out the vision that goes beyond it. What's the goal? What's the win? What's the what can be improved, right?
Absolutely.
Aditi, you're also coming on to the UX Design Awards jury. We are very happy to have you there with all your background and expertise and the different fields that you've covered. I'm wondering, when thinking about judging, so what are you looking forward to? What's the reason that you were eager to join, and what are you expecting to see or learn?
I'm truly excited, first of all, for the folks who will show this courage and this bravery to bring to us what they've been working on. So, first of all, kudos to everyone who's going to be a part of this process. And if you've not applied yet, I encourage you to do. It's a great platform and a great way to recognize what you are doing and what your people are doing. So when I'll come into this process, I am, of course, interested in learning at how you arrived at the solution. So that design process is important, but um, you know, just not following a checklist. I see that a lot in portfolios today, where we have this rundown of that double diamond process, or
Hmm.
hey, I did discovery, and then these are the artifacts I did. Like, it's become more of a checklist. I would rather not see a checklist. I would rather see, hey, by the way, I did this research while I was just walking down the hall. I ran into one of the users of my product and I asked them about it, and they told me this, and that was an amazing insight for me that led to this product feature, and this was the impact of that product feature. I'm really looking for stories, real stories, instead of a forced process. I think there needs to be more freedom in what we do and how we approach problems, and use AI, right? You just talked about it. Use AI to give yourselves wings. I want to see experimentation. I want to see plethora of ideas, and how you let go of one and continue to iterate with the other. And then how do you involve people in your process? So
Hmm.
that impact of process on people, platforms, just stepping backwards and thinking through why you did something, or why are you doing something today. So I think that sense of being present, um, and the sense of knowing which process to go through, and not necessarily going through a checklist, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for genuine, honest, passionate projects that really are moving and are real. uh, yeah.
So this is also about, in a way, storytelling. I mean, presenting, the challenge or the problem, how you found it, then what research you did, how did research inform solutions, what were the aha moments, as we call it, what were maybe the low points, how did you overcome this, and why is the final product or concept great? Easy to say, easier said than done, right?
But fun to do. So, and you can't come up with a case study in a day. I think you need to keep developing it. That discipline is so important. Maybe every month, or every depending, of course, because our deadlines are coming in pretty soon. You may want to find a slot every week to work on your entry. And I think slow work on some of this very deep topics will help you to step back and go into that moment and relive it a little bit. So don't go for the checklist. Show us the real story. We are really excited. I really am. I know that there's a ton that I'm going to learn through the process too.
Thank you so much for these insights, Aditi, and also for pointing out that you should be true to yourself and not get stuck to a formula of submitting. And I would also take this back to what you said before. I liked it very much what you said. Prepare maybe your presentation, your submission, but then take some time off and look back at it, or maybe present it to others and discover where the weak points may be, or what people didn't understand, because it's so crucial to get the jury members to understand within a couple of minutes what this is about and what counts.
Yeah, lot to pack in.
Yes. So, Aditi, you already said we can find out more about you, or when people research you, LinkedIn is the place to go. You talked about listening to podcasts and a lot of research and reading. Is there anything that you would like to recommend to our listeners? Something that really inspires you at the moment? Any books or other media? Something that you would recommend?
Yeah, I think I mentioned it. Continue to learn through certifications, diplomas, and there's a ton
Hmm.
of resources that are online. And I would definitely bias towards some of the known institutions, because I urge people who are especially starting now to go really deep into how design started. Like, um, the history of design is going to be as important as the future of it. So I'd say that. And my all-time favorite is The Creative Act, which is a book by Rick Rubin, and highly recommend. If you haven't, definitely connect with that book a lot. So yeah, that's one of the books. But I love to learn more about people, especially people who inspire me. And yeah, I just keep a tab on what they're doing when I do get a chance away from my daughter. When I usually spend my time now with her. I'm learning a lot from her too. So as a human, I'm learning from my daughter, I can say. And in design, please continue to look at things that are beyond design too, like developing your business knowledge. For example, for me, it was at Yale, which where I learned a lot about how we looked at a balance sheet, for example. So how to bring
Yeah.
business aspects into how you run design, and that helped me a lot when I was writing the doc for Amazon OP. So yeah, every learning will come back and will help you.
Thank you so much, Aditi, for this great conversation. And it gave me really a lot to think about. So I'm very much looking forward to see you on the jury soon and to working with you.
Same. I'm looking forward to it. All the best, everyone.
So that's it for this edition of UX Conversation. Thank you very much for being with us. I hope that you've enjoyed our talk as much as I did. And for more interviews, content, and of course, information about the awards and our call for participation, just jump to our website, uxdesignawards.com. And of course, you can also follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, or get our newsletter as the source for information. So until next time, goodbye from me here in Berlin, Aditi over in New York, and take care wherever you are across the world. And see you at our next event and possibly, hopefully, also in the awards one day. Take care. Bye bye.